T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Hey, hey, hey! Happy Killmonger Thursday, if you know, you know. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Of course, I'm your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, color commentator for the Belladonna Division Battle Club Pro and Black Girl Magic 2, and of course, host and writer for Women's Wrestling Talk. And just welcome to the NXT Aftershow, where we talk about everything that took place, Lord Jesus, on the on the Black and Gold brand every Thursday night. And of course, I am not alone. I am here with the fabulous, oh my God, the African Storm, the creator of In Cat We Trust, and the awesome panelist creator, Miss Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
That was great. I'm sorry. That was great. Thank you. I am good. Tired. You know, Michael Jackson it up before this, so sister's tired, but I am happy to be here.
I totally get it. I am tired too. I had to have some Starbucks to keep me going for the rest of the day. But here we are, and it is Thursday night, and we're here, and everything's going to be fine. And of course, we are here with the newest sister added to the Women's Wrestling Talk roster. She is one of the hosts of Unpopular Review, and of course, a content creator in her own right. She is Shay Sawyer. How are you, Shay?
Hi, I am doing good. It's a Thursday. I'm off of work, so I've just been relaxing, but now I get to talk about some NXT, so I'm excited.
And of course, we are so happy to have you on board with us officially. I'm so glad. It feels like, you're just another family member who's just been brought upon this other family that we're a part of. And since we already know you, it was just easy to invite you into the fold. So, congratulations and welcome. I'm so happy you're here. You get to talk about a show that you love and a show that we love, which, of course, is NXT, which takes place every Tuesday night at 8, 7 Central on USA. Yeah. And of course, if you watch the show and if you're watching us on our platforms on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, please know that you can comment and add to the conversation. And one of your comments might pop up on the screen and we might talk about it. So please, if you have any feelings about NXT, whether they be strong or even a soft opinion, that's fine too. Put it on there and you might be on the screen. Now, ladies, I want to start with Katrina. How did you guys feel about this episode of NXT?
It's pretty solid. Some of the things that happened, I expected, honestly. Or was like, oh, okay. I was right. So there's some things that I expected, but it was a solid episode overall, and we got to see more of our extra we did last week on Ava Rain, and that was nice to see. So pretty solid.
All right, and you, Shay?
Yeah, I kind of agree. It was a pretty solid show with some nice matches to watch. So I definitely enjoyed myself. Specifically, JD versus Axiom was outrageously good. So yeah.
Yes, that was a highlight of the night. And we will get to that, you know, and there were other really good standout moments in the show too. But of course, you know, we're gonna get into it and go through it from beginning to end. And of course, we started with this grudge match. I want to say, you know, this is supposed to be the rubber match between Cameron Grimes and Joe Gacy of Schism. Of course, the Schism has been riding a wave of momentum ever since they debuted their new member in the form of Miss Ava Rain, who, of course, I've talked about so many times about how much I love her, so we won't do that again. Um, so basically, they've been riding the wave of momentum and feeling like their branch and their heart and their family tree is growing more and more. And of course, Cameron Grimes and Joe Gacy have been beefing for the past couple of months because they wanted him to join the schism, but he flat out refused. So because he refused, they could proceeded to beat up on him and psychologically torture him for weeks on end at a time. And then he even got some help from the main roster in the form of the OC to help him out. But this time he wanted to go it alone for their final match, or at least what they say should be their final match. I don't know. We'll see. Because you just never know in WWE, regardless. It could be it or it could not be it. Of course, we got JD in the comments saying, hello. Hey, JD, thank you for joining us. You're our number one fan. We love you. So yeah, this match happened and it was really good. But what really shocked me was the fact that Joe Gacy seemed to have a lot of momentum and the advantage throughout the match. Um, and it was just like normally Cameron Grimes, you know, comes in hot and usually is able to, you know, fight off his opponents, you know, here and there. But that didn't happen really this time because, of course, Joe Gacy was able to fight a little bit more and show what he had to offer in terms of his offense or whatnot. And it was just like, bruh, like I was really impressed with Joe Gacy's athleticism, but in the midst of that, it's like he still had his family out there to sort of help him and distract Cameron and all of that. So even with the athleticism and stuff, you still had the X factor with the family out there. And towards the end of the match, Ava Rain knocked Cameron Grimes off of the apron while Cameron was struggling with him, and it set him up for the handspring clothesline to be hit on him, and Joe Gacy wound up winning the match as the schism looks triumphant in this picture right here. I was massively disappointed because I really did want Cameron Grimes to go ahead and win and actually come out on top in this feud and not be made to look like so weak, or at least maybe he was supposed to come or at least come with a team even still, but I guess he just wanted to go it alone and just prove he could be a tough guy. But in the end, Joe Gacy and the Schism wound up the victors. So, starting with Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of Cameron Grimes?
Uh, it was solid. I think I mentioned, I want to say a few months ago when we first had this thing with Cameron and Joe Gacy, that I wasn't really sure where Cameron was going to kind of end up on the scale here, because there was a lot of times Joe was trying really hard to kind of get him involved in his group, in his cult, and there's times I was like, I don't know, he looked like he thinking about it, not me, but it like he was thinking about it. And so it was kind of nice to see, like, even after all of this, he kind of still was like, no, I'm not joining. And while I don't know how smart it was to kind of go, alone, knowing the whole squad was there, I respect it. I don't know if it's smart. I don't know if I would do that. I gotta have at least a homie or two in case in a situation like that. But I do respect that he kind of wanted to kind of stand on his own on that, especially with he was kind of struggling over the past last half of this year so far, with who he kind of was as far as his role in NXT and what he was doing as far as his trajectory. And so I thought it was cool. I wasn't surprised that Rain stepped in because she's clearly like she's there, but I feel like she's probably going to kind of interfere in all the matches, at least the next few. I feel she's going to interfere in some capacity. And so I wasn't surprised that he lost, but I respect that he kind of went on his own. I respect it that he had to know they were going to do something. Personally, I thought he should have known that, because anybody who knew the story knew, like, oh, they gonna let him just do this all regular, and they gonna let him try to, no, they were gonna, somebody's gonna interfere, and they did. But I do respect that he wanted to kind of do it on his own terms, and that can be applauded. So
Oh, me. Is it me?
Yeah, you can go ahead and go.
Yeah. So I kind of figured that Ava was going to get involved, because from now on, like for the next few weeks, they're going to prove how integral she is to the group by having her get involved. Also, I'm kind of glad Cameron lost, because it was clear he lost a lot of direction. So I was just like, let him lose, end this feud, and he's probably going to go. Actually, I see someone said it in the comments. He's probably going to go to the main roster. I really see that being his next journey. He's already, there's nothing left for him in NXT, and it's obvious. So yeah, just but they put on a really good match though. I really enjoyed it. Specifically the Poison Rana from Cameron. Yeah, but yeah, this was just how it needed to end, to just get Cameron out of here.
Yeah, that Poison Rana was very impressive. Cameron Grimes is a really impressive athlete. Speaking to Sammy's point, hey Sammy, thank you for watching. Cameron is starting on SmackDown tomorrow. That is a good talent to be used on a show like that. Like I would, like, seriously, if he is making his debut on SmackDown tomorrow, I would be really excited to see him, because of how talented he is and how, lit he is in terms of his character. So if that's the case, then that would be really cool. And to Shay's point, you are kind of right in the sense that there really isn't anything left for him to do in NXT, because he's been NXT North American champion, he's been a $1 million champion, he's been rich, he's been a country bumpkin. He's basically done it all and had all kinds of different feuds. So I feel like for him in NXT, in order for him to move on to the next thing, he might really have earned a spot on the main roster, because at NXT it seems to be filling with newer superstars each and every week, or just other people sort of blossoming to the forefront. And with other people blossoming to the forefront, that kind of pushes other people backwards naturally. And that's not his fault, but that's just how it goes sometimes in life. So maybe him being on SmackDown is probably the best thing for him, but he has given us a lot of great things and lots of great moments. So I wouldn't be mad if he is on SmackDown. But also, to Katrina's point, he also has a lot of courage and a lot of heart, to be able to go out there knowing full well Joe Gacy is going to come flanked with his family and still fight on his own. So he has a lot of courage and he has a lot of heart. So if this is, a happy trails for Cameron Grimes in terms of NXT, then I guess it was a great performance, even though he did wind up losing. But, he hasn't really lost our respect here, or lost my respect, I can say. So I hope he does wind up on the main roster pretty soon. Even if it's not, this week or maybe in the weeks to come, you just never know, because of course the year is not over. It is November. We still have all of November and the rest of December to go. So you just never know what's going to happen. But yeah, Joe Gacy came out the winner and Ava Raine proved to be the X factor there. Gotta love The Rock's daughter, huh? Gotta love her. So in the midst of that, we had another very beautiful segment where we saw the gorgeous Cameron Grimes and Trick Williams, having fun and being lit at the barbershop, which is a segment that I have begun to, I've been really endeared to, because I just love it simply because of the cultural significance it has to Black people and also Black men. And that's where a lot of people go to sort of, unleash their unabashed thoughts about the world and how they're feeling about certain things. So Carmelo Hayes, was talking about Wes Lee and sort of giving him his props, even though he feels like he's a transitional champion or just a paper champion, as Trick Williams said. So they've basically, laid out their plans to challenge Wes Lee for the North American title, because he wants his baby back. Even though he likes to say that he doesn't need a championship, but that the championship needs him. him, he really wants his North American title back. But then he also mentioned Braun Breaker and the possibility of challenging him for his NXT title, which is what I want because I feel like he could be the face of NXT, and I've been saying that for weeks now. So I feel like he really should have moved on from the North American title picture, but maybe he just wants to do it one more time before he moves on to Braun because Braun does have his hands full with other people. So, Katrina and Shay, how are you guys feeling about Carmelo challenging for the North American title one last time?
That's his. I feel like while we want to see what he can do as the main champion on NXT, I feel like that's his baby now. I feel like that's what that is. It's like he got it. He held on to it. He did his thing with it, and I feel like that's what it is. I feel like maybe for himself, like let me see if I can get this back one more time. Considering the kind of controversy of him losing it only for it to be stripped from the person that he lost it to, and then have to do some kind of ladder match and still lose it in that, like to lose it in that fashion, only for his loss to kind of feel like it didn't matter because he literally got it taken. Like Solo Sikoa got it taken from him like right after that, and so it was like that loss that he lost the title truly didn't matter. And so it was like, do you even like, I feel like that kind of diminished the way he lost it. And so maybe that's what it is, that he feel like if he can get it one more time, um he can kind of feel, as far as himself, like solidified how he was as a champion. But I wouldn't mind seeing him going for the main NXT title, even though I like Braun Breaker. I do like him, but Carmelo, listen, I wouldn't mind seeing him open the show, close the show on a regular basis. Just saying. So, I wouldn't mind it, but I think that's probably what it is because his loss, literally, to the guy who got it stripped the week after, and then he had to do a ladder match, which kind of lowered the odds of him may getting it back because of how many components usually involved in a ladder match like that. So I'm thinking this is more of a personal thing of him wanting to get this back, maybe to prove something to himself. But I get it.
Yeah, at this point, the North American title is a security blanket for Carmelo, so he just keeps going back to it. I mean, I love Carmelo, and I do agree that we do need to see him touch the main title. But I am so like JD has really like made a believer out of me completely to the point where I'm like, I feel like he needs to hold the title at some point with how he's been working. This man has been putting in work character wise and in ring wise. I mean, I don't know what more, like, come on. He needs to touch it. But also, I do see that Carmelo versus Braun, there is a story there, 100%. Carmelo's been sending subliminal shots to Braun since the very beginning, always calling himself the A champion. But, oh man, it just kind of depends. Like, I see the story for both. I really do. But I support Carmelo no matter what. I wouldn't be mad if he won at all.
Yeah, me neither. It's so funny you bring up JD McDonough a lot because it's just like he is really talented, but I'm just tired of him. I'm just tired of him and his creepy self. Like it's just like it's always him trying to come at him all the time, and I'm just like, JD, you've lost to this man 2 or 3 times now. Find something else to do. But the comments are going crazy. We have Bad Guy Jack, who says that Mello is beyond the North American Championship, but I can't wait to see him battle Wes Lee. Me neither. That match is going to be fire. Thank you for joining us. And of course, Sammy has his opinions about Braun Breaker, saying that he booed Braun so loud when he won the title from Dolph on Raw. Yeah, and Jack also said that the story is definitely Mello versus Braun. These two were the standouts in NXT. Like seriously. And JD, who's joining us, saying JD's don't quit. Yeah, I guess. Um I guess. I mean, no shade to you, JD, because you constantly watch us, but all the shade to JD McDonough. I feel
Same.
like that shit is sad. But then
Same.
also seriously.
He's
Um,
persistent.
but
I love it.
yeah, but in the midst of that, we also got a visit and a message from Scripps, um, who basically turned off all the lights in the NXT universe in the NXT arena, and gave a really dark encrypted message, and it was scrolling up on all the screens, and it was really creepy, and I was like, oh my god. And this voice just was just so creepy and everything. And here again, my brain was running trying to figure out who is this man or woman or person? Who are you? It's just insane to me. We don't know who Scripps is yet, but he or she said that that basically they're going to be arriving soon. So oh my god, it was crazy. But moving forward in the show, back to in ring action, we had some women's action. Yeah. So basically we had a match with Electra Lopez versus Sol Ruca. And Sol Ruca, has some new gear here and it's really beautiful and colorful. It looks very Miami beachy. I love it so much. Like our favorite Blue Crush girl. Fighting in a match against Electra Lopez because they had a little bit of a kerfuffle. Um an interaction backstage. I don't know if it was last week or if it was this week. I can't remember. My mind is blanking. But it was last week. Okay, thank you, Shay. Um, so they had a little bit of an interaction, which led to this match right here. And of course, Elektra Lopez is making her debut, her in-ring debut as a single star now, and her entrance and everything was really cool. It was patterned like she was going up like to like an upscale penthouse suite or something, and then you saw her, come forward with this fur coat and everything, and then she took it off to reveal her gear. But hilariously enough, when she did take off her jacket in the ring, the camera cut it off and went back to when she attacked Sol Ruca and Indi Hartwell, and a lot of people were disappointed in that, but her gear was still really cute. So moving on to the match though, Sol Ruca did pretty okay, because of course she's still, new, but at the same time, Elektra Lopez was dominating her with her power and all of her striking abilities and everything, and she wound up winning the match by dropping Sol Ruca off of the top rope and following it up with a power bomb. So Elektra Lopez seemed to be very confident in this match, and it was so weird because Sol Ruca was trying to get the upper hand in the match with a high flying move, but then she wound up, falling to fail. And it was just so sad because I was just like, oh my God, so Ruka, like she's new and you want a new star to win, but in the midst of that, it just didn't happen for her. And Elektra Lopez wound up winning. So as she was celebrating, Elektra Lopez gets attacked by the impressive Indi Hartwell, which started a brawl. And then, of course, when a brawl takes place, referees and security tried to break them up and everything, and that's pretty much what happened from there. So in the midst of that, Booker T was, saying that Sol Ruca just needs to get more of her reps in. And of course, y'all know since he's a coach, he's gonna say that stuff. So yeah, starting with Shay, just to mix things up, how did you feel about this match and the performance of both of these women, seeing as they're both kind of new to NXT?
So I thought for both of them it's pretty solid. Electra a little bit more. But I personally I feel like Sol Ruca is still in that phase where she hasn't really started anything significant yet. So it's like she can take losses and no one's gonna be like, ah. Whereas opposed to like you're repackaging, well, semi repackaging Electra and bringing her back. So she needs those like on a roll type wins to establish who she's gonna be. And I did love her entrance as well. She just has this I'm a boss, like buy into this type of aura, and I've already bought in. So I'm just excited to see where it goes for her.
Yeah, I agree with that because honestly, since Sol Ruca is, just starting, there's still so much that she has to learn and so much that she has to do, as a budding superstar. But then when you have someone like Elektra who the NXT universe is familiar with, from her past dealings with Legado del Fantasma, it's kind of easy for them to sort of push her and try to make her seem like the dominant new kid, but not new kid on the block. But Katrina, how did you feel about the match, and how do you feel about these two women and their trajectory?
Oh, the match was okay. Um, I did think Electra's entrance was like, okay, let's see where you're doing with this. All right, little snappy snap. I like it. I like it. But I mean, I feel like it depends with how we do like people's like trajectory, because sometimes we know somebody can just get there and then they're put in a space where it's like, oh, you can tell WWE like them. You think of Roxanne, who can wrestle, so let's not, this is again, I love Roxanne, but how she was pushed when she first, you knew she was going to win that tournament, it was obvious. And when Nikkita, and before she had, I think she went down twice, I believe, for some kind of injury, and so before those, though, you can see that it was, they were pushing even before there was any real character development yet. So I feel like it depends sometimes with how they decide to package some of the women at times there. But I do think Saul Rooker definitely needs to tighten up a little bit, and it's not in a bad way. Just like you can, like, when I guess sometimes it helps when you're a little bit inexperienced, because if somebody's more experienced, they can kind of help you blend that better to the viewer. But I mean, we can, like I said, I don't want to say she can take a loss necessarily, but it's not where I felt anything about it either. So I don't want to say she can't take a loss, because technically she did just start. So you don't want to have a whole bunch of losses, and then by the time she's important, nobody cares. But I would say that maybe she needs a little bit more like tightening it up. So I didn't feel anything as far as about her loss, but because Electra kind of lost her group, she lost the group. They went on to greener pastures, and she kind of stayed, and even lost being kind of their spokesperson to an extent. And so you kind of like, how do you make this work now on her own? Kind of what they had to do with Indy, where she was always with a group, always with a group, always with a group, and then some left, some came back, they went to different brands, and she's still kind of stuck on the NXT route. And so they had to kind of repackage and see how can you make her stand out and keep going. And so I'm guessing that's what they're trying to do with Electra Lopez. But otherwise, with all that being said, I think the match was okay. It was all right, decent.
I agree. And of course, when it comes to Electra, she has to find her way, and we have to do, like in all things, just give it time, because nobody gets it 100% right, like on the first go. Like, it's just like our boss lady TK Trinidad says, you do not come out of the womb running, you got to walk. So, so basically, these women are, walking and stumbling and bumbling a little bit, but eventually, them as babies, they will grow and they will begin to walk on their own, and everything will be fine. And then they'll, be eating on their own. And then after they eat, they'll grow some more. And then you'll be buying clothes for them. And then they'll be their own person. It's so funny. I say that, because of course I'm really close to my mom and she says stuff like that. I have never had a child, but I just know that's just a natural order of things. But either way, that's just, how it goes. So these two women are going to find themselves, and it's just going to take some time, but I feel confidence in them regardless. So this was a pretty decent match for the most part. In the comments, Sammy is going off though. He says Electra doesn't do anything for me. BFAB probably hit her too hard because this match was bad. I said what I said. Oh, well, like I said, they are new. So, any kinks that they have, I'm more than sure that they will, buff it out in the performance center and continue to improve and get better. He also said, and Soul Ruca, Miss Girl trying to be like Melina and Split. Ma'am, go on your surfboard and hang 10. Now, mind you, that split was impressive though. I like that split. The first time I saw that split, she reminded me of Charlotte Flair. Like, that's just what it reminded me of. Like, it was cute. But either way, like I said, they gotta find their way. JD said Shay bought stock before the bull run. Nice. Okay. So yeah, we just got it all together. Oh, and we got Wilson in the chat. Hey, I'm glad to listen to y'all live. Aw, thank you very much. So moving forward, we had a segment involving Alba. Well, not involving Alba Fire first. It was involving the NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose on a call with JC Jane, who had just came from the mall, and she was in the car. And they, of course, were talking about, how they were going to deal with Miss Alba Fire, considering last week Alba attacked Gigi, my wife, and cracked 3 of her ribs, and it was just so sad. So we didn't get any Gigi this week. Oh, terrible. So basically Alba Fire was just, staying true to her mission to take out the rest of Toxic Attraction so she can finally get to Mandy Rose. And as Mandy and JC were on the phone, JC, looked at out the car window and saw that maybe it was a mall cop that was trying to holler at her or something like that. And then she looked and then the door opened and it was Alba, sure enough, who dragged her out of the car and attacked her and beat her up and then carjacked JC, got in that car, and basically told Mandy that I was serious about attacking all of these girls. I was serious about taking them out. And since I've taken them out, I'm not going to stop until I get to you in a last woman standing match. So next week, her and Mandy Rose will have a rematch for the NXT Women's title in a last woman standing match, which makes this the second one we've had this month after, of course, Bayley and Bianca Belair at Crown Jewel. So I think this is a really cool stipulation for them because we've never really seen Mandy Rose in a situation like this or in a stipulation match of this nature. So I'm really excited about this, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to say whether or not Alba will have the upper hand, considering she's tried to get rid of Toxic before, and they wound up popping back up. But I don't know how you pop back up from cracked ribs. As much as I love Gigi in my heart of hearts, but we'll just have to wait and see. But it's pretty stellar stuff going on in the women's division. And of course, we're going to get to further ones. And Bad Guy Jack in the comments saying, holla at her. Yeah, holla at her. When men or women see somebody they like and they want to walk up on them and just be like, hey, what's up? Or, how you doing? Or can I have your number? Or whatever it is that men say. I don't know. I don't date. I've been in a relationship for 10 years. Either way, y'all know what people say when they try to holler at somebody. He also says at this point, Alba has to win. She has to. I don't know, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I wouldn't mind it if Alba won, but I just don't know if it's in the cards for her to win. I don't know. It's weird. But ladies, what do you guys think about the last woman standing stipulation?
Uh,
Started with Katrina.
you guys already know. I said that I thought she should have won in the first place, but they got Mandy just holding on all tight to this title. I mean, I guess. However, I did say that as much as I like Alba, we can't be doing all of this. I feel like if it's a last woman standing match, like again, and this it seems that usually when you get to a point where it's like a last man standing match or like a death match or something like that, that's usually like the last part of a like what else can you go after that? I feel like there should be nothing else left after a last moment. Like it's like okay, you can't go to like a last woman standing and then a regular match after something like all right, so somebody clearly don't know how this works. And so I feel like in this situation, if we're not going to do all of this, you went through the squad, you try to do all types of stuff. It needs to just be her and Mandy. And again, as I said last week, this would be the time for her to kind of do her thing and do so with no interference. I feel like if there's interference, I can understand but you guys are not letting me do it on my own, or at least not letting me be her ass, whatever, and let me see what I can do if you guys are interfering. And so in that regards, no interference. If sis still cannot win it, now she's gonna have to do how we feel about JD. Let it go, sis. Do like Frozen said, and let it all go. You have to move on to somebody else to fight. Because if you still can't do it, and the last woman, this should be more of her game at that because of her wrestling style. This should be more of her lane. And you still don't win. And I'm saying again, without interference, I feel like Toxic Attraction really needs to not be there. Because then I'm like, how can we know did she lose cleanly if you guys keep interfering? We don't know what's going to happen. How is she going to do with just her and Mandy? No interference. Let Alba do it. And if she doesn't win, I'm taking it that this has to be that. Like, if you're going to really prove this, you should win it. But let's say she does it and it's a clean loss. She's gonna have to find somebody else on the NXT roster to now complain about this. Like I'm gonna have to be like, begrudgingly, clearly, sis, something wasn't working. So you can't say all this and you lose again. So it has to be. I feel like if you're going to this level of a last woman standing kind of a match, which means kind of everything kind of goes. I'm okay with weapons. I'm okay with things getting a little bit like more rough. I just feel like Toxic Attraction truly needs to not be involved. And then let her do it that way. And if she still lose, let it go. Move on, Albert. Go to your next whoever it is, and let Mandy go to her next challenger.
Yeah, what about you, Shay?
For me, I don't know. I'm kind of like 50-50 on her winning just because I'm like, okay, you win. And then what? Because honestly, I feel like there's so many women who I'd rather see take the title from Mandy. I just don't know where it would go. At the most, she can win it and then drop it at the next PLE deadline. She can drop it at that to Cora, someone who I feel like I'd rather see take the title from Mandy personally. Um, Roxanne, anyone, please. Because I don't connect with Alba all the way there. I think she's, very talented, obviously in ring. I love her entrance. Well, I liked her old entrance a little bit more, but beggars can't be choosers. They're both good. But I just don't think the title is. I mean, you know what? Let her win it, and then she drop it a deadline. That's okay. That's my final thought on that. Yes, do that. Do that.
Yeah, I believe my thought about it is this. It's just the fact that, well, I've said how I felt about the whole getting rid of them, and you've done it at Halloween Havoc, and I don't know exactly what's going to happen there. But honestly, I feel like if Alba truly doesn't win in something that she could have the advantage over, because in the last woman's standing match, anything goes. You can use whatever weapon you want to. And the thing is, we've never really seen, up until this point, outside of a couple of matches, we haven't really seen Mandy Rose get that rough and tumble. But Alba Fire has shown us that she'll use a bat or whatever it takes in order to, destroy her opponent. So Alba definitely has the advantage there. So I'm not going to say, that maybe Mandy doesn't have a chance, but she is a little bit out of her depth when it comes to this type of stipulation. So I feel like Alba does have a bit more of a fighting chance in this match. But if she doesn't win, I will be a little bit disappointed, but I won't be too angry about it either. Because you still have Roxanne, like you said, Shay. You still have Cora, even though as much as I roll my eyes at Cora, we'll get into that a little bit later. Um, and you still have the likes of, Wendy Choo, who could challenge again. And then, of course, you still have people who could very well make their return, like maybe a Trinity. You never know. But either way, I still think it's interesting where this is going. So it's fun and I like it. So moving forward with the rest of the episode, we had a men's match between Andre Chase from Chase U versus Charlie Dempsey, William Regal's son. So before this match took place, we had a little pep talk backstage from Duke Hudson to Andre Chase and also from Thea Hale, who is just so crazy with her spirit. I just love it. She's just so excited. It's literally the most incredible thing. Like she's me basically in high school, like just going crazy, but not that crazy, but just either way, like it's just so funny to see her have this much spirit in a university that may or may not be real. Because I know Booker T is obsessed with the idea of finding out whether this is an accredited institution, but either way, it's still funny. So this match took place and it was a really good technical master, not, I don't want to say like a masterpiece, but it was still a really good technically sound match. You saw like a lot of different holds, you had a lot of different striking abilities, and I'm still impressed at the idea that Andre Chase can fight an entire match with a sweater and a blazer and some jeans on, like, and dress pants. Like, how does he do it? It's just crazy to me. I just really loved it. Like, I really loved this match. It was really good until, of course, it ended in a way that I really didn't like. That reminded me of Rocky Four. Oh my god, I hated it. Like when it looked like Charlie Dempsey wrestled Andre Chase down, of course, in that picture, and had him in a submission, an arm trap submission. Duke Hudson was afraid, I guess, that maybe Andre, wasn't going to make it to the bottom rope, even though he did try to like push the rope to him, but the referee caught him or whatever. And Andre was telling him not to interfere in that way. Duke decided to throw in the towel for him. It's old school, and he threw in the towel for him, and the referee rang the bell and declared Charlie Dempsey the winner. And this made me upset because I'm just like, Duke, what are you trying to do here? Because if you're joining Chase University and you're supposed to be, giving all this spirit or whatnot, don't you think you should be believing in your instructor and in your professor and his abilities to try to win the match and not just give up for him? Like that irritated me. that was really irritating. But in the end, that's what he did, and this is where we are. And of course, bad guy Jack is in the comments, um, saying Andre Chase should have thanked Duke for saving his butt. I don't agree, but whatever. And he also said, I love Rocky Four. I do love Rocky Four too. I like Rocky Four. But I will say this though, I believe Rocky Three is probably my favorite. And of course, I love all the Creed movies, but definitely Rocky Three is my absolute favorite one. But girls, how are we feeling about this, trajectory with Chase U and Duke Hudson? I don't like it, but how are you guys feeling?
Um, I was a little surprised with the towel throw. I feel like you do that when you literally have like no choice. There was like all those jokes when Roman Reigns and Jey Uso had that match. Okay, all the amazing memes that spurned from that match referencing Rocky Four, where there was like maybe you should throw the towel in because Roman is really kicking his ass. And I understand trying to prevail your family. Sometimes family fight, and you gotta be like, no, you're not gonna punk me. Totally understand that. Though I've never been on that end because no, I'm dealing with this. We're not doing all that shenanigans. But the point is, I totally understand trying to hold on to your family and trying to prove a point. That was a more logical reason to throw the towel in. I didn't like, yeah, he's a little bit out wrestled, but to throw the towel in like he was just so beat up, I was like, did you not believe he could win? Did you not trust in your squad? Like, it was a very odd thing, only because it's like he wasn't doing terrible for you to throw the towel in. That's what you do when you like, oh, this person really can't go. This is really bad. This is what should have happened with Apollo Creed and Rocky Four, and Rocky was sitting there second guessing, and then poor Apollo Creed went down. You know, God rest his soul, and all we didn't have to do all that. I feel like that was not that was the time you throw the towel in. I didn't feel like this was something that was like he was that outclassed that you throw the towel in. So I was a little confused. I don't know if that's going to cause some discord between them because it might. But William Regal's son, like I'm not like I feel like they're like he has the look, he can wrestle. I'm sure he learned from one of the greatest minds in the biz. I feel like they're definitely gonna push him. I will be very surprised if they don't. But I feel like he's definitely going to be in a trajectory where we're going to at some point see him in some title picture. I truly feel that. But I didn't understand the towel throwing because I'm like, why he not this beat up for all of like, why are we doing this? Like, this is not like that's the dire when it's really like, oh, he really can't even like block his face. He can't roll over. He can't like put a leg on the rope or something where you might have to question that. I was a little confused by that. I feel like will this cause some issues with them later on because he did that. But otherwise, I thought it was good. I liked it.
Oh, it's me. So my thought is Duke is a mole, and he is trying to get revenge on whatever past issues him and Andre had. So he's infiltrating and pretending like he actually gives a crap, which he doesn't. Andre didn't even look like he was gonna tap. I'm trying to figure out why you threw this towel in because you're being petty. Because this is all a watch. It's gonna be a whole reveal. This man is working his way inside and trying to break everything up from the inside. He's gonna probably get in Thea's mind. She's very like hyperactive. I'm sure she overthinks a lot. It's gonna be bad. I'm telling you. So that's what's happening. And also Charlie Dempsey, very 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 talented. Definitely want to see more of him. Also, I feel like Andre is so like his character work is so good. People forget how good he is in the ring. I just felt like that has to be said. But shout out to you, Andre.
I agree, Shay. Like, I literally feel like Jackson has some nefarious means going on because, of course, sadly, Bodie Hayward had to go and he had to leave and withdraw from Chase U, right? So, because he had some stuff going on, right? So it's just like for Duke Hudson to just all of a sudden come in and act like he's all buddy buddy with Andre Chase all of a sudden, it's kind of strange when all he ever does is talk bad about people and start beefs with people out of nowhere and then start fighting with them. So the idea that he would just change it up and then change and then join Chase U, it's just really suspicious to me. It's very suspicious. And I agree with Shay in that sense. Like I don't understand. And but Jack doesn't seem to want to buy into that idea. He wants to buy into the fact that he's trying to help. And I'm just like, Jack, no, no, no. That's not what's going on. Also, he said Rocky 3 is his second fave. Good stuff. Yeah, definitely. Hashtag unbelievable. Yeah, like I seriously believe that he's trying to tear apart Chase U from within. And it makes me sad because you also mentioned Shay about Thea being hyperactive. She's also really young. And that's not to say that all young people are naive, but literally she just graduated from high school this year. She's essentially what you would call a fall semester freshman in regular college terms. So for him to sort of go in like that and then sort of take advantage of her in that way and sort of, I guess, turn her away from her professor and, that she's been trusting all the way up until this point. It's just kind of disappointing and it's sad. And I hope that Thea doesn't fall for the okie doke. I really don't. Like, I really hope she doesn't. And I hope Andre Chase doesn't fall for the okie doke either. And I hope he cusses him out the way that he curses everybody else out. Because it is so funny when he turns up out of nowhere and start cussing folks out. It is hilarious. I be weak as all get out when that happens. But Charlie Dempsey is very talented, though. He really is talented. Like, I want to know, like, what would happen if he actually had like a character outside of him, just being a really good wrestler. But he seems to be pretty okay, just now. But either way, he's still really talented, and the future is bright for him. So I've been impressed with him since we saw him in NXT UK, which I miss. But either way, it was a pretty stellar match, in the before the whole towel throwing thing. But Duke needs to chill. He really needs to chill. So moving forward with the rest of the show, we had another match between Channing Stacks Lorenzo from the D'Angelo family versus Hank Walker. And Hank is somebody I'm becoming, very endeared to simply because he just looks like the average everyday man, right? Like he just looks like the guy, just trying to make a living and do what he's supposed to do, either for himself or for his family, whatever. Somebody you probably run into at lunch to say hi and just be like, hey, what's up? We're here at the same restaurant. We're chilling. But yeah, so he's budding his wrestling career because he started as security and now he's fighting more. So yeah, Tony D'Angelo seems to be, testing Stax's loyalty and his abilities, in the past couple of weeks. So he placed him in this match with Hank, and this match was pretty okay, for what it was. It wasn't extremely impressive, but it wasn't necessarily like the best thing either. It was cool, for what it was. So in the midst of that, Hank had a really tough flurry on Stacks, in the beginning of it. And it was just crazy at first. But in the midst of that, Hank Walker took a thumb to the eye and then Stacks hit him with a running knee in order to win the match. So it was sad. It made me kind of sad because I never want to watch Hank lose because, I'm beginning to grow warm to him. But at the same time, Stacks really needs a victory considering he did lose that one big match he had against Shinsuke, even though it was a surprise match. But that's how it went. So ladies, how are we really feeling about, Stacks so far? Started with Katrina.
Well, he's proving himself. Like, so far, every time he's been put in a situation, he's been doing it. I'm not really sure why he needs to prove this much still. I'm like, all right, how many matches do he need to get to prove something to you? I get like, okay, when he was going through that section of losses, I mean, it was ridiculous, but I guess I understood. Like, I mean, I guess you had to prove yourself, the squad. But it's like, all right, how much more do he need to do for you to get it? Like now, I'm starting to feel a little way because now I'm gonna be like, how about you do this if this was me? Now we're gonna have to have discussion. Why are we still doing this? Have I not proved enough? Do you want to step in the ring instead? I feel like now we're gonna have a beef. I feel like if this was me in the situation, I don't understand why he's still doing it. But I thought it was okay. It was a good match. I wouldn't say it's something I would have like praised in like a year. I'm like, oh my god, that one match for NXT, but it was good. And I do like Hank. Hank is like the guy with like, you might need him to catch the mouse in your house, and he's like super cut, and you're like, oh, I don't like mice. Can you please get this for me? And then he gets it, and you're like, oh my god, thank you so much. Do you want to watch like true crime? Okay, I'll give you snacks. It's fine. Okay, it's all we get snacks. You hear me rant about how dumb people are on TV, and we thank you for helping me out because it's not gonna be me. I feel like he's that guy, like the homie that you call when you need to get rid of mice or like spiders, or like, oh, can you hang this on my wall because I don't really know how to do. I mean, maybe I do know how to do this, but I mean, maybe you got bigger arms or something. Can you hang this up for me? Hank is the guy you call for that. I feel like everybody wants a Hank in their life. I feel like you want the guy who just you good friends, you hang out, you eat pizza, you watch love time movie, crime shows, horror movies. Like, oh my god, check you next week, bro, and he helps you like hang up TVs and maybe make a bookcase and get rid of all the neck yucky things. I feel like that's the guy, and so yeah, I feel like Hank's a cool guy. I feel like I want him to win for that reason. Like, who did what Hank? Sad. I was kind of mad about that. But in regards to Stacks, he gonna have to question his boss. Like, why are we still doing this? But Hank, maybe next time, because I do like Hank. I do feel like he's a regular dude, like just like the nice cuddly guy you might be friends with or something. I don't know.
I agree. What about you, Shay?
I don't know what it is. Maybe I have to like watch back a few clips of him. I just cannot get behind Hank. I can't get behind that man at all. But I also see what's going on between Tony and Stax. They're clearly building a whole, Italian father son dynamic, and I'm testing you to see if you can, take over for the family when I'm gone type. And I can see that Stax is going to get tired of this. He's going to get to the point where he's like, how many how many matches do you need me to prove to you when, and he's probably going to be like, when you can't even win your matches. Ooh. Now, when that happens, I can't wait because that's going to be a feud once Tony is cleared to wrestle again, of course. But yeah, I do like Stacks, and I do see the growth in him. I like that he's getting more time. Unfortunately, he had to get his time off the back of, Tony being injured, but that happens for a lot of things, and that's okay. Sometimes it opens up an even more amazing door, which I see the door of a great, promising feud between Tony and Stacks that is clearly on the horizon.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned this, Shay, about the idea of Tony and Stacks possibly feuding because that tension is there, because there's always that weird tension between the pupil and the teacher. You know how the teacher just kind of likes to pile tests in front of you over and over and over again because you always got that one teacher that just don't believe that you're worth anything or feels like, oh well, you can't do this because I'm gonna make this way, and they try to make it a little bit harder for you, and no matter what you do, it's like nothing's ever good enough for them. So I feel like eventually we could come to a blow off fight between those two, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. But Shay, I just hate that you don't see what's so special about Hank though. Hank is cool. And then to Katrina's point, the way that she described that whole thing is almost sounded like it could be a romantic movie, like a romantic comedy. Like you got you a friend that's like your neighbor that you could depend on, but then all of a sudden, you start looking at him, building your bookcase, and you like, he kind of fine. Um,
About to write. About to write. That's it. About to
like
write
he
that
kind of
novel
fine.
right now. About to write that novel right now.
And then he goes from kind of fine and being your kind of fine friend to your kind of fine boyfriend or your kind of fine husband, and it ends with a nice little wedding at the end after a little bit of conflict. That's what that sounds like. But Hank has that vibe to him, but you just never know, where he could go. But Shay, I hate that you don't see it for Hank. I hate that.
Maybe it'll change, but I definitely will say I definitely like heels more. I'm more of a heel lover, like upon first meeting. So I think maybe if he grows on me, but like right now it's like I'm not getting with you're just a good guy walking around being an everyday man. That doesn't work for me. I need you to be walking around smacking someone for no reason. That gets me.
Oh, Shay. I love how guy Jack in the comments is saying that he hugged Hank. I want to know that story. Um, but either way, Hank wound up losing his match to Stacks, and that was a little sad. But after that match, we got a segment with the Country Boys and Fallon Henley, Brooks Jensen, and Josh Briggs, of course, in her family bar. And then you have Kiana James with all of her degrees and certifications offering to buy some to buy that property and that land off of Fallon Henley for like a really good fee. And then she even doubled it, right? But Fallon Henley was not here for it. She was like, no, this has been in my family for generations. My granddad did this over there. Like my granddad, and I shelled peanuts over there at that bar and at that table. I learned how to play pool over there, all the sentimental things, right? But Kiana James seemed like she didn't want to hear it. And so she stormed out. But what's so funny is I believe it was Josh Briggs who was trying to holler at well, no, I think it was Brooks Jensen who was trying to low key make a play for Kiana James, but Kiana James was completely ignoring him. Like, bro, like you are not my type, and it was so sad to see. It really was sad to see, but it's okay. I guess bad guy Jack doesn't like Jensen and Brooks, and consider him. I feel like that's slander, considering one of them is from Alabama. So chill. Um, please chill. Please chill. Okay. And then Sammy is saying, I call Kiana a wannabe Stacy Keebler and Michelle McCool because Miss Girl isn't teaching anything and the statistics don't lie in all caps. Ouch. My God. So many feelings. Um so many feelings. And now bad guy Jack is sweating. Yeah, sweat. Like Bama people, we gotta stick together, okay? We really gotta stick together, okay? Because the world doesn't really expect that much from us, but it's okay. It's okay. Um, yeah, but Kiana James just stormed out, and I'm gonna really need for her to not bully Fallon Henley. Like, leave her alone. But yes, Jack, thank you for that. Thank you. Um, but moving forward, we had the Grayson Waller effect, but I got a whole lot more stuff to say about Grayson Waller and how he acted this week, a whole lot of more stuff to say. But Grayson Waller had his Grayson Waller Effect talk show, and he had two special guests in the form of NXT champion Brian Breaker and Von Wagner, who of course kicked him dead in the face last week to, I guess, challenge him, for the NXT title. And this was a part that I missed a little bit of. So if Shay, could you tell us, what went on in this segment?
Vaughn was talking about a whole lot of nothing, saying the same stuff he's been saying that hasn't meant nothing. Just because one time you finally get some cojones and you come up to the champ and you want to fight, don't mean nothing. Because we've been waiting for you. He was at the door the whole time. You was the one that was lost in the street. You couldn't find which block he was on. That had nothing to do with Braun. Nothing. So Vaughn is like, oh, damn, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. And then, Robert Stone is like, oh, he's gonna get you. And I'm just like, y'all not gonna get nothing. You're gonna lose. This is an unnecessary match, and it's a waste of Braun's time. But if he wants to get it done, do it. Go do it. Have it done. Because he's not winning. Vaughn is not winning at all. And you know what? I love that Braun slammed freaking Robert's head into the desk. He needed that because he was talking way too much. That's it. That's what I say.
Shay, that was just so passionate. I love it. I love it. And you made it sound so interesting, like, and very action packed. That was really, really great. And I just hate how Grayson is just an instigator. It's like if he's not in the title picture because he's too mediocre to be there, he's always instigating some mess with folks. And it just be getting on my nerves. But Katrina, how did you feel about this segment? Because Shay has clearly told us how she felt. Because I got to get into my read.
That was great. But she's not wrong though. I felt like there was no need for not a Grayson Waller as I'm not really a fan, but there's no need for this. I feel like first of all, Ron Wagner, as we said, how do you come in and think you get a title shot? So then I'm about to get me one. I'm about to be like, you know what, Ron, you don't know me, but I'm feeling the way this Tuesday. Let me get a title shot. That's how it sounded when he said he thought he was next. Shenanigans. And so I totally understand that part. Because it's like, how did you get in line? Like, where did you come from? Who did you skip? I didn't even like that JD keeps thinking he deserves something. But at least he had an actual match to put him in that match. Ron Wagner just decided, today's a good day for me to decide, oh, I'm big and strong, and now I have a title match. Okay, in that case, I have one too. Okay, Braun, see me. Because if we could just all just decide that we could just get title matches, well, let Katrina get one. Let me have a title match. Okay, let me be undisputed or something. Shenanigans. So I don't understand what she was saying. Because like, why do we have like, how is he the next opponent? And granted, before he's moved along opponents, but at least they kind of made sense. Like, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see how we got here. I don't know how he thought he'd just jumping ahead of the line. Even when Apollo Crews last time, how did you get here? Like I said, if y'all can get here, I can get here. I'm about to get here too. I'm gonna call Sean. Like, Sean, get me, write me in. You don't know me, but it's perfectly fine. If he can get one, I can get one. Like, that's just the way I feel about how he decided to get a title shot. So Braun just need to kick his ass real quick. As we know, I feel just kick his ass real quick and then move right along. Like, you step over him, you see something you don't really want to step in outside. New York City streets, how they are. Sometimes you want to do a little hop over him after you leave him, after you win. And I would be petty. I would stand over him with my title too, because like, trash. And then move right on along to the next opponent. Like, he just needs to light work it. Because how? I didn't know why we even had talk shows. Why do we have a segment for this? How did he get? I just, whatever. I mean, I guess, but I mean, outside of like, I was like, I mean, I guess if we're gonna do this, that's how I felt about the segment. But I just think this whole match is totally unnecessary. Because how, bro? How we get here? And nobody can answer that for me. So yeah, I guess I'm about to have me a title shot in a week, because if we can just say things and just get title shots and all.
Oh my God, all the fire. I love it. I love it. I love it. We get real on this after show. But they do, my girls, Katrina and Shay, do have a point. Because Von Wagner did just lose, the North American title ladder match, even though he did have a good performance there. And him sort of asserting himself in the title picture with Braun is a little bit weird, because it's just like, sir, maybe you should go back to the drawing board and figure something out before you think you can just, come in here and just challenge Braun, right? And then at the same time, y'all know my problem with Apollo, but we'll get to him, for something positive later. It's just the fact that Apollo was just trying to manifest it as opposed to, taking his place. Because the thing I do respect about Von Wagner is the fact that he still, enacted violence against Braun to let him know that he was here. Like I said, Apollo is just sitting there trying to manifest it by looking at the screen. No, make it happen, sweetie. But either way, at least Von Wagner did that, even though we feel like, even though everybody has their strong feelings about Von Wagner. I understand that. But let's get to Grayson Waller, because I have beef with him, okay? The reason why, and y'all probably know why I got beef with him, okay? Because we love Victor Perry here, okay? He is the teacher and the icon in the moment of New York and that school, okay, with the wrestling club. He has gone above and beyond for those kids up there in New York. He is an amazing person. I've had him on my show, the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. He's been making the rounds, in the wrestling community, and he's been making all kinds of moves for these kids. These kids are going to WrestleMania. These kids are doing promos. He's making assignments for them. He's doing all kinds of beautiful things and giving them, another outlet. And that is important, in a world like this. That is absolutely important. So you can only imagine now, of course, on the Grayson Waller effect, Grayson Waller likes to have different people on Twitter and spam them to make it seem like they're talking about his show in a positive light, like people like him, and people don't. And Victor at Wallflower Perry, please follow him if you don't follow him. On Twitter, noticed this, and he said, yo, like, I didn't say this, right? And so Grayson Waller went on Twitter and said hashtag your club sucks, and he wanted to throw shade at the wrestling club, at these kids, at the babies, right? And these babies reacted to him on Twitter, on social media, saying, look, they flamed him, they cooked him, they basically said, like, you are not all that. And what's so funny is they even made their promos, like, and their pipe bombs rhyme. They flamed Grayson Waller, completely flamed him. But then Grayson Waller wanted to talk all this mess and talk about how basically their club sucks, and how Victor Perry is a bad teacher, and that he's a part of the rotting American education system. Now, granted, we can talk until the cows come home about the education system in America, but we'll do that another time. But what we're not going to do is run roughshod over a good teacher who does everything he is supposed to do and goes above and beyond for them kids when he doesn't have to. Some teachers come in, and then they do their job and then they go home and then they just get it for a check. Victor Perry is not one of those people. And these kids deserve the very best of what life has to give them. So for Grayson Waller to disrespect those kids on social media the way he did, I wanted to slap him. I wanted to come through the screen and get him together myself, because you are just not going to disrespect teachers, number one, and disrespect Victor, number two, and disrespect them babies. You're not going to do it. You're just not going to do it. You're not right. And I feel like for you to be a grown man and that press over them babies like that, it just proves that you have nothing else to do. You're never in a title picture. You lost the last time, you tried to challenge for the North American title. You have yet to challenge for the NXT title. And the last match, the last major match you lost was a casket match. And you didn't even lose it to The Undertaker. You lost it to Apollo Crews, who likes to manifest things by looking at a screen. So, sweetheart, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? And you want to throw shade at our education system? No, sweetheart. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Okay. Not a thing. Not a thing. You better keep the wrestling club's name out your mouth. Keep it out. Don't make me catch a flight. And I catch plenty of flights. These girls know, okay? This year, okay? I'll catch a flight. And I'll get you together, okay?
All the flights. All the flights.
All of them. All of them. Because I have met some of those kids, okay? And they are the sweetest, okay? They are the sweetest in the world, and they love wrestling, all kinds of wrestling, the independent wrestling, WWE, all of it. You leave them alone. Leave them alone, okay? Bad guy Jack in the comments. Note to self: when Stephanie says "sweetheart," run. Exactly. You're just not gonna do it. You're just not gonna do it, okay? I just don't like it when people mess with kids, especially when grown-ups mess with kids. That just pisses me off. Like, that just goes to show you really don't have the balls to rise up to a grown-up if you won't mess with kids. Like, you ain't got
granted, sometimes I do. Sometimes certain kids are a little. As a mom, you be around little kids. Sometimes you want to fling little kids. Sometimes totally understand that, However, I would do it in jest. Okay, it is done in jest. It is never like, let me just randomly start with somebody's kid, because I know how I'm about my kids. I'll burn it all down. Just burn it all down. I was like, I tell people, I'm like, I'm that mom. Quick. You don't gotta tell me twice. Like, oh, who you did what? Okay, well, you're gonna see me skipping along happily, burning screw down. We don't need that today. But sometimes you do gotta take a couple of kids and fling them up. So in that situation, yes. But in these regards, like, I was like, bro, like, first of all, they're New Yorkers, so it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, the New York kids can be mouth, but New York kids, I was like, you lucky they hurt your feelings more than they already did. They could have violated. New York kids are mean. Like, they could have solely violated, and they did. They still did, like, promo mode. That's a lot nicer than he deserved. I mean, I did see it. I was like, look at you. Just at the bottom, just tragic. That's what you argue with children. Argue with children. Do better. But you're right. You said everything else. I'm just like, couldn't be me.
All right, Shay, do you want to chime in?
I'm scared. What I will say is they got him. They cooked that man up. They served him. It wasn't nothing left for him at the end of the day. I hope that maybe this leads to an apology of some sorts, and they bring them. I would love for that. They come to NXT maybe. So that's the only thought process I had, was like the positive of maybe they'll come to his show and cook him in person. I would like that.
You do have about the positives, and that could happen. Like, they've been getting visits from all kinds of superstars, from various promotions and everything. So, if they do go to Florida, that would be great for them. Maybe they'll be in Chase U. Maybe Victor Perry could teach, a class for Chase U and be a guest professor, a guest lecturer. You never know. I mean, it could happen. But that would be really cool. Yeah, you just never know what could happen from that. But to JD in the comments, who's saying who off, is Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller. Look him up on Twitter and see the mess he's been saying about these kids, okay? Look it up. And he also said, I was in a meeting and came back to Stephanie giving a verbal spanking on the theoretical bum. Exactly. I may not fight you, but I will get you together with words. Like, I don't fight, but when you make me mad, I will get you together with words. And he just made me mad. Grayson Waller, count your days. If you keep coming for them kids, I'm going to keep roasting you on this show. That's just what's going to keep happening. Okay. I love children. I really love children. I have a little sister. So it's just like, I just love children. And anytime somebody's messing with kids, it just bothers me. I hate it. So, yeah, Grayson Waller just needs to chill. He really needs to chill. Yeah. I just don't like it when people bully somebody that's not on their level. It's dumb. But moving forward with the rest of the show, because if I go in again, it's gonna be a mess. Wes Lee had an interview. The NXT North American champion had an interview, and he's ready to fight Carmelo Hayes, and they're doing their contract signing next week. So that's taking place, and their match will take place. We don't know exactly when, but it's going to happen, and I'm really excited for it. That's going to be cool. And also in a Twitter video, we did see Apollo Manifestation Cruz talking about, how he took a trip to Lagos, Nigeria, his native African country, because WWE is looking for their next African superstar. They're doing tryouts in Africa, and I'm so happy. And they're starting them in Nigeria. So it's really cool that they're doing this. I'm really happy for them. And I'm definitely pushing for NXT Africa because dang it, we deserve it. Okay. We deserve it. And I'm really excited about that. So that was cool. So yeah, moving forward, we had a stellar match with JD McNugget versus Axiom. This match was very physical, it was very technical, and it was also very brutal. Very, very brutal. It was a couple of moments where I thought Axiom was really gonna beat JD because he just kept rising up and reversing all kinds of holds and reversing submissions and stuff like that. Like these two, I really could have watched these two wrestle all night and would have been fine. Like this match was really, really good. But JD, of course, being the torture animal that he is, decided to attack Axiom's knee in order to keep him from hitting all of his high flying maneuvers that he likes to do and everything. And it got so bad to one point he tried to break his knee, and Booker T thought that he heard his knee pop. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's terrible. But yeah, like Axiom just wasn't giving up at all. It was to the point to where the referee had to stop the match because Axiom was that injured. But they did really good, in this match. Like I low-key want to watch them fight again. But of course Axiom has to recover. But in the midst of that, like you saw a lot of the best of what these two had to offer. Like there was even this one impressive point where even in that picture where JD was about to hit his signature move, and then Axiom caught him with his legs and then flipped it into a submission. And I thought he was going to win right there, and then maybe he was going to tap out, but JD did not tap out. And he went on to win the match due to referee stoppage. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match?
I thought it was really good, actually. I'm a fan of Axiom in general. Not too much of JD, but I am a fan of Axiom, and I thought they really delivered here. It's unfortunate though because I felt like we saw to the point that the match had to be stopped, that he's still kind of on his whole I'm gonna be mad aggressive for no reason. So I feel like he's overly aggressive, and that's kind of why it stopped. But I otherwise it was yeah. Sorry, I just happened to see that comment. Yes, we did. You mentioned the whole NXT Africa months ago when it was still NXT UK happening. So look at that. But yeah, I thought it was a really, really good match. I just felt like, it's JD's way he wrestles is the reason why that could have been bad. Because I thought Axiom has been really doing his thing this year. I feel like every match he's been in, I'm like, okay, all right, I see you. I'm watching. And so it was. I enjoyed it. JD, I mean, I didn't think I had to specify, but listen to you. But JD on NXT can kick all types of rocks, personally.
I agree with that. Like, I really agree with that. And what's so sad is JD McDonough is also the type of person where he'll make fun of people when they're injured. Because even backstage, he made fun of Nathan Frazier, who told Axiom that he was injured, from his last encounter, his last match. So it's just like this dude really don't care. Like, he cares nothing about anybody else's well being except for his own. But of course, Shay has been singing the praises of JD McDonough all episode. But let's ask her how she felt about this match. Shay, how were you feeling?
This match, like I'm such a sucker for technical wrestling. Like I die. Like it's the things they were doing. Axiom did this thing where he flipped over JD onto his back and then kicked him in the shoulder. I'm like, first and foremost, what? Like the things that this man does in this ring makes no sense to me. It doesn't even feel like it should be possible, but it is. And I also think that the ending, like while I was upset because I just wanted to go on longer, I see that they are trying to protect Axiom. I think a ref stoppage because he can't go on, but he wants to, even showing him like, I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop. And you could tell the crowd, even by the end, they were so for him. And so I think that really helped him grow. Like, I feel like a lot of times when they do those things with either like if a wrestler is in a hold and he doesn't tap and the crowd's like, this guy is such a fighter. I feel like while he lost, he won. Like the crowd is even more behind him. And when he comes back, from his injury, which I don't think I was scared when he did like a flip over the rope and he landed directly on his leg. I was like, this man is injured. There's just no way that this man is not injured, but he wasn't. Or maybe I don't know the full details. I really think it was more like a kayfabe injury for them to protect him. And then also to make JD look more terrifying for being like this guy who focuses on injuring people. I guess that's his gimmick. I even like the thing he said, and I got to say he's one of the best heels in NXT for sure. Because even at the end, when they're taking Axiom out, he goes, that was just a light strain and it's not a tear because I'm a nice person. I felt like that was a good touch as a heel. Like, come on, everybody's probably like, mother, you still hurt him. And he's just like, no, I didn't hurt him that bad. So, I mean, I really love this match so much. One of my favorite matches from this month. It's up there, trust me. But I see what they're doing on both sides, and I think that this match helped both men in a certain way. So I'm always a fan of matches that both people are elevated at the end of it.
I agree. I do agree, with the fact that this really was an elevating type of match. And Axiom did a phenomenal job, but it's just like JD was acting like, oh, well, like that was his act of mercy. Sweetheart, you're merciless. You're merciless. The least you could do is own it. If you're going to be a shark, be a shark. Oh my God. Like, let it happen. Own it. Just own the fact that you're evil. Own it. But yeah, they did a phenomenal job. So if you guys did miss that match, I do suggest you go back and watch it. It was a really good technical masterpiece. And I felt bad for Booker T and Vic because they probably did hear, something pop. As somebody who witnessed Big E's injury on SmackDown, like in real life as it happened, like that is not a fun thing to see, visually. It's not fun at all. So it says we do wish Axiom and Nathan Frazier the best because they're besties. So let them heal from the damage that they've endured. And JD McDonough needs to be put in a house where he's hugging himself with a jacket. But we're moving forward. So in moving forward in this one segment, Cora Jade decided to get on her little soapbox and talk about how she feels like Wendy Choo doesn't have any friends and how she feels like she's a people pleaser and how, she goes forth and protects people just because she wants to be accepted because she was, the misfit, who tried to fit in with the popular girls. And I'm just sitting here like, Cora, how are you going to say that about Wendy Choo when you look like you were probably one of the outcasts in high school too? How you going to say that about Wendy Choo when you are literally like the skater girl who probably didn't hang out with the popular crew either? Like, how you going to say, oh, Wendy Choo ain't got no friends? You ain't got no friends. We see what you've done with your friends. Like, clearly we've seen what you've done with your friends. Like, you had a whole feud because you couldn't keep a friendship with Roxanne. And you talking all this big stuff about Wendy Choo and how she ain't got no friends. Wendy Choo is fine because every night she goes to sleep in her onesie and she drinks whatever herbal tea she needs to drink to put her to sleep. and she is okay. That's called having peace of mind. Okay. That's called being okay by yourself or okay to date yourself. You just mad because you just can't keep nobody and you can't keep yourself. Cora needs to chill. She just really needs to chill. But moving forward, we had a 5 minute challenge match between Brutus Creed of Diamond Mine and Damon Kemp, and this match was, even though it was 5 minutes, it was still pretty hard hitting. Um, Brutus Creed really came out swinging. Like he really came out swinging, and he got like 30 seconds of all kinds of extra shots in, for the first 30 seconds of it. But then Brutus Creed also got his hands on a steel chair, um, as Damon Kemp was trying to get away from him, and he really did not care. Like he was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna hit him anyway. And then of course you got Brutus Creed right here with this amazing cannonball move that he loves to hit. Like he had his brother Julius out there rooting him on or whatever, but I really feel like this match, even though it was just a 5 minute thing, it kind of showed that we should be on the lookout for Brutus too. So yeah, this match was pretty good for what it was, but I hated that he hit Damien Kidd with a chair in order to be disqualified. But something that I do think is funny though is the fact they showed that clip of Damon Kemp bringing that chair with Julius's name on it, and yet he still didn't do anything with it. That's so sad. Like, how you gonna pretend like you big and bad, put somebody's name on a chair, and then don't do nothing? Teddy bear. But Katrina, how did you feel about this?
For what it was good. It was a bit of a quick match, and I didn't know why it was like the squat. Like, what was the purpose of going to disqualification? I didn't understand the reasoning, I guess, behind using the chair. Like, what was the goal with that? But for what it was pretty good. It wasn't terrible. But I just didn't get like, oh, I have the like, why randomly like at this moment, like, oh yeah, let me just end the match in this way. I felt like there could have been a better way to kind of tie that up, honestly. But otherwise, it was for the time period it was for what it was. It was pretty okay. It was good.
For me, I mean, it was an okay match for what it was, but I do agree the ending was kind of weird. But I think that it's playing into the shift in Brutus's character, which I feel like they're trying to make him seem more unhinged and just kind of like Brutus, like he's a brute. Like he's just like, the first thing I'm gonna go to is I want to hurt you, and you hurt me, so I'm gonna hurt you 10 times plus whatever you did to me because I get my licks back. And then they kind of give me the vibe of like Julius and Brutus give me like Captain America and Hulk a little bit, because it's kind of like you always just see Julius trying to calm him down, and then you have Brutus just losing his mind all the time. So I always get that dynamic from them. I don't know if maybe it'll lead to something between them, because I feel like Julius is going to continue to try to be level-headed, and I think Brutus is going to continue on this road. And I don't know if they're going to be able to stay intact if they're both going on different roads mentally. I don't know where that leaves Ivy as well, but I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it too. I think it'll be really cool to see if they, keep this feud going. But honestly, I feel like if Damon Kemp got his butt beat by both, then maybe he should leave him alone. Maybe. Just maybe. And to back on Jack, he dig when I crap on people. I try really hard not to though. Like I'm generally a positive person, and I will say this though. And a lot of these people are really talented and stuff, but when you have a bad attitude, that's something I can't stand, clearly. So like when you just have a bad attitude, that's something I just don't like. And I know they're playing characters and I know they're, being heels. Like I get that, but if you're acting like a heel, if you're showing me heel behavior, I'm gonna treat you like you acting, and that's just how it goes. Um, but either way, that's what happened there. Um, after that match, we had a little bit of a stare off between the Creed brothers and Sangha and Veer Mahan. So we might start a feud. I don't know. And then we did get another vignette from whom we can assume probably Dominic Dijakovic. the former T-Bar from Retribution. So, that's going to be cool. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him, to NXT because he put on some bangers in NXT. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that. I just hate Keith Lee's not there because, baby, him and Keith Lee, they used to slap down. But it's okay. So moving to the main event. The main event. It was the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match with Nikkita Lyons versus Team KC Squared. And oh my God, these girls tore the house down. I love tag team wrestling and I love women's tag team wrestling. So these women, of course, I didn't have any disbelief that these women were going to tear the house down simply because of the fact that they tore the house down the last time they fought each other. And this was a very impressive spot right here too, where both Zoey and Nikkita slammed both members of Team Casey Square down. But in the end though, all the tag team chemistry that Team Casey Square had was on full display, absolutely full display, using each other as weapons, you know, tagging out when the other team member couldn't see, all of the amazing things that these teams did, they did. And Nikkita showed more of her power stuff and didn't just solely depend on her striking abilities. You had Kayden Carter jumping in the air right there with the drop kick there. Just all kinds of amazing acrobatics. And there was even this one dramatic point where Nikkita and Zoey almost had the match won, but then when Team Casey Squared climbed back into the ring to go on the attack, Nikkita saw it and pushed Zoey out of the way to protect her, and she ate those two super kicks that they gave her. And she got kicked out of the ring, and then Zoey Stark tried to fight the rest of it on her own. But then even when Nikkita was still trying to get back into the ring, Team Casey Squared wound up winning the match. They wound up retaining their titles. But as they were showing the replay of certain elements of this amazing match, Zoey and Nikkita took the NXT titles, from the official to give to Team Casey Squared, and Nikkita gave the title away, and Zoey was acting like she was going to give the title away, but she held on a little bit, kind of tight. But then as she pulled the title away, she hit Nikkita in the face and proceeded to beat up on her as Nikkita was in shock and crying and everything. Oh my God, it was so sad. You almost felt sorry for Nikkita because she really didn't see it coming. She was crying and everything, and she was really, really outdone with Zoey. And Zoey was screaming, saying that she was going to be by herself and she is only going to be responsible for me, myself, and I, like Beyonce, and said that it's all about her. And that's how NXT ended. And Wilson in the chat is with the week. I completely agree. It was really good. Team Casey Square showed out, and so did Zoey and Nikkita, but it just wasn't enough. And then he also said Kayden looked particularly strong and resilient in this match, overcoming Nikkita several times. Right. And then Jack is saying, why didn't Katana and Kayden help? I don't know, because they were just focused on retaining their titles, and I guess they really didn't want to get off into their business. But
As Shay is that wasn't their business.
mm-hmm.
Don't need to be.
So, girls,
I actually wasn't surprised. I don't know how Nikkita was confused. Sis, we saw it coming. We saw this coming. She was getting a little too upset about things the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, does it, you do a little too, like I said, why are you this upset over tag titles? Or you wasn't even this pressed about Mandy? Like, sis, calm down. So I knew it was coming. She was getting a little too angry. Every time Nikkita was telling her to calm down, she was giving her a look like, if you don't get out of my face, we about to so the Nikkita crying. I'm like, sis, we're not gonna sit here and act like you're oblivious. I saw this coming a mile away. They were fantastic in the match. It's good to kind of see Kayden and Katana doing more. Because they that was questionable as far as what they were going to do in WWE. And again, not that I want anybody to lose their job, but when you have people getting cut, cut, and they're kind of still there, I was like, and y'all not doing nothing with them? It was that kind of thing. And so I'm actually very glad now that they are doing something, that they're showing you know that they're a team, and I think they work really well together. I think, again, as I mentioned previously, that their friendship helps their tag team look more legitimate. And so that was a really good match. But Nikkita crying, I was like, sis, stop. I don't, let's not do fake drama. It's like that was like soap opera cry, because you knew it was coming, because I knew it was coming. And if I knew, you knew. Like, you're not gonna sit here every week with her getting mad at you, and you trying to be nice and she's still being kind of funny. You're like, you didn't question? Like, maybe she, stop it, Nikkita. I'm like, you too big at your big old age, as they like to say, to not have peeped that, because I peeped that. She should have peeped that Zoey was about to go back on her own, because Zoey said this before they teamed up, that she was more in line of being by herself when toxic attraction kept messing with her, and that she kind of had herself. So I don't know how she forgot that part when when Zoey kind of was saying that she kind of was a lone person anyway, and then they randomly had that random tag team. Sis, no, we're not gonna sit here and act like no. Do better. If you can't read the signs, then do better. Do better. Be more aware, because I peeped. I don't know, but I otherwise it was a really good match. It was actually an amazing match, but that turn I was not surprised. I saw it coming. I really did. I was just like, why is she sitting there crying like she was just oblivious? Stop. Stop it. We're not, no, absolutely not. Let's not lie like that on the Tuesday. Let's not, don't do that. She was lying. I was just like, let's not be dramatic. Like, oh my God, Zoe, we were best friends. No, you wasn't. It was obvious. So she was gonna turn, and you want to sit here and be extra like, should I give you the Oscar now? Do you deserve the Emmy for the fake tears? That was fake. I was a little annoyed by that, because I'm like, sis, we knew she was turning. I saw this like 3 weeks ago. She was gonna turn to her, and she's sitting here like in this surprise that she gotta cry. Do I squeeze out a tear for the small violin I need to play for the lies? No, that's not. But it was a good match. Okay, good match. It was a fantastic match, but I was just a little annoyed with the fake crying, because like, sis, you knew. Everybody, Stevie Wonder could have saw she was gonna turn. We not. Let's not. No. Let's not lie like that. Good match though.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't understand how she didn't see it. Zoey has been exhibiting what I now call BL, which is the Bobby Lashley effect, BLE. I'm upset because I lost, so I'm gonna beat up everyone. Zoey definitely has that. I saw the symptoms for a while now. And yeah, I mean, I think that you're just doing this to give Nikkita something to do to grow in the ring, and I feel like it's working. I mean, obviously, we saw this match. She's improving week after week. They see something in her. I mean, she is a good actress, I will say. I'm like, why are you crying like this? Because I mean, we definitely did see it, but I will say I'm impressed with how well she was able to get that going. I will say, you know, I got to give it. But I was like, why are you? Because everything about Zoey for the last few weeks has given me very much, I'm angry and unhinged. Nikkita should have just, after the first time, just, you go your way, girl, and I'll go mine. Because this woman is crazy. And I just don't, I want to see how this goes, but I think it'll be very beneficial for Nikkita in ring wise to wrestle someone like Zoey, who is very, very gifted in the ring. So, I mean, I'm excited to see if the growth is there. That's what I'm going to be looking for in this feud, is seeing the growth, because I feel like they have a lot of stock behind Nikkita backstage, like management. So I want to see the growth so I can get on that page as well in ring wise. Yes, but I really did enjoy this match. And I'm happy for Kayden and Katana, because they've been in the trenches for a minute. So for them to finally get their shine, I'm very happy. And they're a real tag team. I feel like for so long, I was like, can we get a real tag team that's really been with each other like for a minute holding the titles? And we finally, I feel like this is the most we've had it. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, you guys have some pretty great points. To the comments before I weigh in even more. Wilson saying, I was very surprised by Zoe turning. I thought she would be babyface for a long time. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Like, it is a little bit hard for me to imagine her as a heel, because she's been face for so long. So I kind of understand where he's coming from with that, but it is going to be definitely interesting to see her as a heel. JD said, I side with Kat, and said, this Cat greater than that lion. My God. And then Wilson said that he was fake crying along with Nikkita. Now, what I will say is this: the crying part really got me together because it's very different in terms of what happens when a tag team partner turns on another partner. It's not that often you see somebody cry about it. It's not that often you see that because Marty Jannetty didn't cry when Shawn Michaels turned on him. Sasha didn't cry when Bailey turned on her. So it's just kind of like it's really different in terms of character work on the part of Nikkita Lyons. Like you really don't see partners crying like that. You just see them take their beating and then they close their eyes and then you really don't see them and they just be laid out. I feel like at least she did, do something a little bit different in terms of crying about it. Because in terms of her character work, at least she did every time that Zoey was kind of acting up on her and was going crazy, she was telling her to calm down, and think about peace and love and all this other stuff. She was trying to calm Zoey down, and keep them focused on the tag title. She was trying, but it seemed like her tries just weren't enough for Zoey. And Zoey was the one who turned on her. So that's probably why Nikkita was upset because she really was trying. But in the end, Zoey just turned on and was like, yeah, I'm just going to destroy everybody and be by myself. But to Katrina's point, she was kind of just like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And also to the point of Nikkita being young, she is young. So maybe there's only so much life experience that she had, but she tried. But
I'm no,
JD
that was
said Katrina,
because Nikita's
yeah,
crying reminded me of when a kid pretends to be hurt or they really and you tell them no and then all of a sudden the world ends and it's like crying like oh my god I'm not it's the, oh my god what do you mean no let me be dramatic. That's what Nikita reminded me of and that irritated me. As a mom I knew what fake crying is. That was fake crying. I couldn't even feel. I was just like sis it was so obvious. like it's like, ooh, you touch a stove and it's hot and you touch it like surprise. No, sis, she literally was telling you last week that she wasn't about that kumbaya and you still like, oh, peace and love. This is not sunshine and rainbows. It's not the 70s. We're not gonna smoke a joint and be no, stop it. Stop it. I just no, I couldn't even feel like that because I'm just like, sis. I really felt like how like my son liked to try to pull that game when he's like, oh my god, mom, you said no, let me cry. And I'm a crier. I tell you, I cry so easily. Like I cry about everything. I'm happy crying, sad crying. Somebody on Snap, and I'm like, you know what, sis? That's what he gets. You going to jail, but that's what he gets. And crying, I feel it. That I was like, stop. Like a tea, like sis. I don't smoke. I'm just saying, like, but it's like peace and love and hugs and sunshine. And I'm like, no. Sis was clearly upset that she lost the titles. She's been upset. She tried to tell before last week. She was like, I don't want to hear that. You like frustrated with your day and you just over it. She was over it. So her to sit here and cry and act like it was like the worst thing. Like, here's your Emmy, sis. You tried. Let's go on channel 2 right now and jump on the soap because that's the dramatic crying that people in soap operas do. He cheated on me for the 15th time. Let me cry. Sis, you knew. That's what I was getting from this. Just those vibes of, that stop. Like, that's what the cry, like, you were confused of why he did it for the 15th time. Those soap opera actresses, that's what she was doing because it was obvious. I was not surprised at all. I'm like, why are we crying? Like, here's a tissue. Does it make you feel like... Yes, she was lying. Okay. Yes, she was lying. Like, come on, stop. No, she was doing toddler tears, as I call the fake crying you do when you want your mom to feel better because she told you no, and you feel like you want to play a game for an extra hour until you to go take your ass to bed, and now it's oh my god, mom, you're so mean. Crying. Stop. No, absolutely not. She knew because I knew. Okay, like I said, Stevie Wonder, who wasn't watching, knew that she was gonna turn. Because stop it. I was so annoyed by that. It was just so ridiculous for her to be crying like that. It'd be funny if like they had like maybe they had a journey for like 5 years. Okay, I was more hurt when Seth Rollins turned on the Shield than I was for that because I was like, even though I knew he was gonna turn, it was so obvious. You knew. There's like little things like, oh my god, you knew. Writer brain. You can pick things up. And even then, I was like, but no, you guys did everything together. Like, why? Like Shield and Mask and coming out the audience. But why would you do this? Nikkita, stop. You probably never had brunch together and had mimosas for crying like that. Stop it. No, absolutely not. No. I was not like, no, I was so annoyed by that. I really wanted to be like, Nikkita, why? She almost got a tweet, but I was going to be nice. I didn't, but she almost got one. Like, why are we fake crying like that? Why?
Katrina.
I don't want a whole rant, but it literally reminded me of like my son. It bothered me so much. I'm like, this is so fake crying. Why are we doing this fake crying and all these tears? That's when you want to get a reaction from me. Now I'm annoyed. Now I'm not. They're not. No. Now I'm annoyed. I can't feel sad because now you're annoying me. That's what I got from her doing all that. Like, sis, you knew. Stop it.
Katrina said that Nikkita was giving Young and the Restless, giving Guiding Light, giving All My
I
Children.
know how some opera actresses would be like, the husband cheated like 10 times and the person died about 15 times and it came back one more time. Oh my God, you're back. Tears. Like, sis, he died 10 times. If you haven't realized by now how you still got tears left. He came back so many times now that the well should be dry. That's how I felt for that. Stop it. No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
All right. I think you broke Shay, Katrina.
My bad.
My
I'm just saying.
so bad. My cheeks.
She can't stop laughing. She can't. She can't.
My bad. My bad.
Katrina makes us jump to our feet. Rock-a-cow. Katrina. All right. So that was the end of NXT though. Like, but they did announce all the championship matches they have. Of course, Mandy Rose and Alba Fire, like I mentioned earlier, will be fighting in the last woman standing match next week for the NXT Women's title. We have the contract signing between Carmelo Hayes and Wes Lee for the rematch for the NXT North American title. And then we have Braun Breaker versus Von Wagner. And Grayson Waller needs to chill and stop being the Drake of NXT. Now, take that how you will. Thank you guys for joining us for the NXT Aftershow on Women's Wrestling Talk. Thank you guys for joining us, for popping off in the comments and enjoying our discourse about this show. We are here every Thursday night at 6 p.m. But in the meantime, I'm going to let these women talk about what they've got going on and tell them where you can follow them. Starting with Shay. Shay, let us know where everybody can find you and follow you and what you got going on.
Okay, well, you can find me at Shay Sawyer _. I'm always posting whatever I got going on, but also I'm always hosting an Unpopular Review every Tuesday and Wednesday. It is Tuesday for NXT. We talk a little bit about there. We don't get as in depth, but you know. And then on Wednesday, we talk about The Challenge. I'm a big reality TV person, so, you know, I have to be talking about one show. So the NXT is directly after on UPR. And then on Wednesday, it is directly after as well, 9:30 for The Challenge. I mean, you know, see me, come find me. Definitely on Twitter. If you have a Twitter, come find me because I be talking on there a lot. I need some more mutuals.
All right. And Katrina, let us know where we can follow you and what you've got going on.
I can be found on most social media in Cat We Trust, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. The E is a 3. I have a few things happening. I did just do the show in the Bronx, and I have to post those interviews. Totally slept. Busy week, but I did some interviews. Super awesome. I will be posting those soon. Got some really awesome like wrestlers really did their things on their promos. Tomorrow I will be accompanied by digitally by 2 ladies actually on the show. Tomorrow we will be on MCM Birmingham UK's panel Behind the Magic Wand of Color Wrestling in the UK, which is super awesome. On the main stage, so everybody there who is there at that panel on the main stage will see us and we record the panel, so that should be super awesome. I also announced earlier, because girl is just going everywhere, so let's put this little, that I will be in LA with Stephanie, and who's been part of this panel from the beginning, Karen as well, and some nice also intros because we couldn't get the original squad, all of us, to LA. I was trying to get the squad there. But unfortunately, we couldn't get the whole squad back like I wanted to, and so I had to add some people. And so we have the lovely TK Trinidad, who is CEO of Women's Wrestling Talk. Hello. And then we have Rain Cruz, who, if you didn't know, was the one who announced Big E's match at SummerSlam last year, I believe. And so she was the contest announcer for SummerSlam, and I've interviewed her. I believe Stephanie did as well. She popped up on Women's Wrestling Talk, as well as a bunch of unpopular review, I believe, at one point as well. So she's been all around us in some capacity. And so I had to ask, like, sis, you work in wrestling as well. Let's see if we can get you on there. This is your town. And so she will be there. And so I'm super excited about all of these things. We're literally traveling, making this worldwide. Like Pitbull says, Miss Worldwide. It's about the us everywhere you can find us. So that's what's going on my end.
Yes, and I am absolutely proud to be a part of all of that. It's just, really great to be a part of all of that, what's going on tomorrow, like so many things happening tomorrow. But you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. Follow your girl Stephanie Hardy on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. My show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, is under construction, but I might be revealing some things later where I'm trying to rebrand and revamp the whole show, in a new way, so you can see more of my face and, also my voice too. So we're just trying to redo some things for season 5 coming up real soon. So we're just doing some new things. I'm really excited about it, but I am blessed to be on the panel that's taking place on tomorrow in Birmingham, England, with MCM Comic-Con, from one Birmingham to another, because I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, and it's really cool to be a part of that. And to also be a part of Los Angeles Comic-Con. Like I said earlier, I'm hopping on flights this year. And and the fact that I get to do this and be a part of stuff like this and talk about wrestling as a Black woman is always an honor and a privilege. Whether I'm with Katrina or Shay, or a mixture of the same people or different people, like, I'm just really excited to be a part of it and to be in LA with these women, and I'm just really proud and happy. But in the midst of that, please follow Women's Wrestling Talk on Instagram and Twitter at WWTalkPod. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com, where we have all of our interviews, all of our articles, all of our after shows and merchandise. Please check all of that. Our writer team is always cooking something up, and we're always cooking up after shows all the time, and so many other different shows as well. So please, check it out. Love on us and continue to support us. Follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Facebook, and just continue to support us, as we continue to grow in our wrestling journalistic journeys and in our lives as well. And of course, tomorrow is a big day, seeing as a certain beautiful Marvel movie is coming out in the form of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So please, you're going to see that, be safe, keep your wits about you, and look good when you're going to see it too. I know I'm dressing up and I'm posting pictures, so if you follow me, you will see it. But either way, be safe and enjoy yourselves this weekend, because it is Veterans Day, and some people have long weekends like I do, or some people don't. But either way, still enjoy your weekend, be safe, and just love on yourself. So with that in mind, this is Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet, where we keep it real. Bye, y'all.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet.